Welcome to The Man Who Woke Up the Buddha. This is Season 2, Episode 20, Sid's Grandchildren Get Really Stupid. Previously, while Courtney and Sista drove Sid home from radiation, Sista went on a brilliant and extended, borderline manic rap about the excesses of the patriarchy and religious intolerance. "Well, you did it again," Layla said admiringly as she walked out on the porch pointing to the sunrise. She and Marcus had arrived the night before. "Yup, it was touch and go for a few seconds there, but I was able to convince it to show up on time," Sid said, putting down his sextant. "I was a fraction of a degree off, but that's to be expected. I never took trigonometry." "You and Marky off for a bike ride?" "Well, yeah, with him it's more like a bike stroll, but yes." "Where is Loverboy?" "Cleaning the bikes?" "Seems to me," Sid said, "he spends more time cleaning them than riding them." "You just going around the lake?" "A little more. Do a figure 8 up around the school." The elementary school is a half-mile up a steep hill west of the lake. It was a rite of passage to convince your parents to drop you off at school with your bike so you could coast back home. For most kids, that happened around spring of 4th grade. Casper had begged his parents to let him do it at the end of 3rd. But Carolyn put her foot down until Jake negotiated a settlement whereby he could do it any day that Jake went up and biked down slowly with him. Since Jake loved reliving his own childhood initiation and never understood why bikes needed brakes in the first place, he soon had Casper passing 5th and sometimes 6th graders. Layla had her leg up on the porch rail, stretching. "Stop looking at my butt," she laughed, without even having to turn around. She turned to him slowly and, with a wicked grin, began to pull on her bike gloves, squeezing her hands like they were brass knuckles. There was no longer any hint of Sid in her discussion of right and wrong during the last visit. They had made their cases and moved on. Disagree, then back to the love, the Buddha thought. Maybe he'd get Sid to make bumper stickers with that saying. Or it could just go in the next book of things he either did or didn't say, but sounded good either way. "Ready," Marcus said, coming out on the deck, wiping the last of the grease off his fingers. "Morning, Marcus," Sid said. "I hear you're climbing up to the school." "What? You said we were just going around the lake, Lay." "I did not use the word just." "Oh, Jesus." Marcus took a deep breath. "It's Sunday, remember?" "Don't worry, I just need some miles. We can go at your pace." Layla had been riding for 25 years, and now that she was 60, regularly came in the top 10 of her age group in regional races. Marcus could usually hang in with her for 10 miles or until the first steep hill, whichever came first. But that was it. "Life is suffering, Marco," Sid said, seeing his grimace. "I can't believe I said that," the Buddha thought. Sid stood up and turned around as the sun, split by a post on the railing, cast a shadow up his legs. They were getting skinnier. "I'm going back to bed. Have to get ready for the Sunday morning service." "You're leading Sunday morning prayers now, Sid?" "Who comes to that?" Marcus asked. "All the grandchildren, of course. Sometimes one brings a friend." "Well, one time." Sid waved. "See you when you get back?" The question mark was meant for himself. When Layla and Marcus did get back from their ride, Sid was sitting on a lawn chair on the grass above the wide, sandy lake shore. His grandchildren were dutifully collecting rocks and sorting them based on the size of kid and rock. Junior and Courtney had just unearthed a borderline boulder next to the wild blackberry bushes and were wrestling it onto a series of planks worthy of Giza. Their goal was to shuffle it down to the spot where Sid had made a large X in the sand. Willie was shoveling rocks loose from places they had appeared above the sand. Casper was lifting, rolling over, dropping, a rock that weighed at least half of what he did. Zoe was collecting skipping stones, putting the ones with white streaks into a wicker basket, and tossing the rest towards the construction site. "Hi, Auntie Layla," Zoe called out as she walked up towards them. "Did you have a good ride?" "I did," she said, looking back at her husband, who was limping painfully behind her, barefoot, sweaty hair plastered to his forehead, wearing a knowing smile on his face as he saw what was going on. "Wipe that knowing smile off your face," Sid grunted, turning to see him. "What do you know anyway?" "Well, for one, I know that slavery was outlawed by the 13th Amendment." "How do you know I'm not paying them?" That gave Marcus pause. The grandchildren did seem to be flocking around him even more than usual. He was probably handing out $5 and $10 bills with reckless abandon, distributing his estate. "Where are your mom and grandma?" Layla asked Zoe, as she began to walk down past the kids to wade into the water. "Grandma's inside sorting through medical bills and deciding what stocks to sell," Sid added wistfully. "And Mom went to get bagels for everybody," Zoe said. "I told her how many to get of each kind, based on an average of previous purchases." "And these nice little children," Marcus said, joining Layla at the water's edge, "are spending their hard-earned Sunday off by making piles of rocks for their grandfather." "We're building a Stupa'd," Casper called out, as he slowly flipped over another rock. "A Stupa'd?" Layla turned towards him. "No, it's stupor," Zoe corrected him. "It's stupid," Willie added inscrutably. Even he wasn't sure whether he was calling Zoe stupid, thought what they were building was called a stupid, or doing it was stupid. "Stupa, Zoe," Sid said firmly. "Around here, we don't pronounce our R's. You should know better." Zoe laughed, and Courtney tossed a rock at her. "Besides, there's not even any R in there, Zoe. It is Stupa." "I know that," she said. "I was just kidding." Courtney didn't believe her, but gave her a pass, and continued wiggling the boulder down the planks. Marcus walked over to help them. "How are you sorting your rocks, sweetie?" Layla turned around to ask. "Well, these," Zoe said, holding up one of the ones with the white streak, "are the best kind of skipping stones. Do you know the record for the most skips?" But in a split second before she answered her own question, her big brother Junior spoke up. He was locked and loaded. 51 skips, Russell Byers, July 2007. Went 250 feet. "Here," he continued, handing Marcus the crowbar without missing a beat. He had surreptitiously looked it up in advance, knowing Zoe would think she was the only one who knew. His relationship with his little sister had become aggressively more passive-aggressive. 1, 2, 3. As Marcus levered the crowbar, the two kids flipped the rock over, guiding the two sides to keep it on the planks. 2 more should do it. "The white lines are calcite in the shale," Zoe said to no one in particular. Layla walked into the water and slid in smoothly, stroking effortlessly 100 yards or so before turning around. About halfway back, she met Marcus, who'd waded in after helping the kids. They treaded water and talked briefly, laughing, before she headed for shore. He continued out and hoisted himself up on the raft that was anchored a healthy stone skip from the shore. "That should be enough, loyal workmen and women," Sid intoned. "Let's get started." By unspoken agreement, they stood back and let Junior take charge. He looked at each rock, selecting carefully, like he was putting together a jigsaw puzzle. "Kid has great three-dimensional vision," Sid said. "Hey, Layla, you two want to drop me off tomorrow for my treatment on your way back? I might be able to get you in to see my Frankenstein imitation, like Courtney and Sister did. Could be your last chance. I'm almost done with this course." "Oh, Sid," Layla said, "wish we could. I have to get back." "What's so important you have to go home?" "One of my kids. The foster mom dropped her off at the ER last night. Said she just couldn't manage her anymore. Kid was bouncing off the walls, literally. She had brought along all her clothes and things, real apologetic. She was done. Should have never sent the kid back to her from the group home. My bad, but we thought the meds were working." "Where is she now?" Courtney asked. "Still at the ER." "Why?" "No beds at Lenox. Got to keep her there until one opens up. I'm back up, so we should get home by 8 or 9. "Back up?" Sid asked, looking intently at Junior, who he noticed was listening intently, as if he were assembling her story in his mind piece by piece, just like the stupa. "When they're in the ER, someone from the office has to be with her, sometimes an off-duty cop, but they can't make any medical decisions, so..." She pulled up a beach chair and sat down between Sid and the construction project. Zoe had come over closer to listen. "What's her name?" "Can't tell you." "What'll happen to her?" "Well, they'll try to get her meds right again, try some therapy. There's a school in New York State I'd like to get her into." "Will they lock her up at night?" Layla looked at Sid, who shrugged with a "your call" look on his face. "No, but they have eyes on, as they say, 24/7. "She a cutter?" Junior asked, not looking up. "They're all cutters," Courtney said. even some friends of mine. Zoe grimaced. Junior shrugged and kept working. Sid raised his eyebrows. Don't worry, I don't, Courtney said. I won't either, Zoe insisted. Any of the kids in your class do it, Zoe? Sid could be deferential when he wanted. Don't think so, she answered seriously. Junior kept working. Layla and Sid exchanged glances, but, by unspoken agreement, decided that whatever was swirling around in that 12-year-old head would come out when the time came, probably in complete sentences. What's a cutter? Casper asked. As Marcus came up on the shore, he sensed it was time to change the subject. So what is a stupa anyway? He asked no one in particular. Courtney was on her knees handing possible rocks to Junior, who silently accepted or pointed to another pile. It's a Buddhist grave marker, she said. Gee, I thought facts were Zoe's department. Junior and I are just trying to keep our hand in. You're going to get buried here on the beach? Marcus asked Sid skeptically. No, this is just a model for the one at the cemetery. Junior looked up, was about to say something, and then went back to work. Could be kind of nice, Marcus said. There are still stupas over in India, Zoe added, regaining her expert equilibrium. A bunch of them, dedicated to the Buddha. It's where people pray. And, Sid added with a clear glee in his voice, often they have relics of the Buddha in them. So I want to have some built all over town, hell, all over New England, and have relics of mine and some of my ashes put in them. Your relics? The Buddha wondered skeptically. Your relics? Layla asked skeptically. I'm guessing a bottle of a 40-year-old single malt, a pack of Luckies, Red Sox ticket stubs. A veritable Sid time capsule, Marcus suggested. They better think twice, the Buddha cautioned. Those objects have a life of their own. That's why dead pharaohs never go hungry. Until people dig them up, he sighed. Might want to put some snacks in there, too, Sid said, like the pharaohs did. What about the ones in museums, Layla pointed out. That's my point, the Buddha thought. Good point, Sid said. I'll ask when I get over there. Zoe had a look of seriousness that only a 12-year-old can pull off without it seeming self-conscious. I still think there's going to be a miracle, and Grandpa Sid won't die. Junior shook his head in exasperation. He was about to say something, but just threw a few of the rocks he placed on the ground as if they were all wrong. They weren't what was wrong. Could happen, Marcus agreed. Hey, Courtney, where's Sister? He asked, referring to Courtney's so-called twin sister and roommate. Tap dancing class. Silence suddenly descended upon the assembled multitude. Even the Buddha didn't know what to say, or what tap dancing was, for that matter. She's doing what? Layla asked. Tap dancing class, Courtney said, with as straight a face as she could manage. A lot of kids do it, she lied. But I heard you did everything together, Layla said. I had to draw the line at tap dancing. Good call. Does Sister cut? Zoe asked, still stuck on the subject, concerned, like it might turn her world upside down if she knew someone who did. She did her time, Courtney said slowly. And see how well she came out, Sid said. Layla looked around at the kids who were all listening in their own ways. Sid, she asked carefully. Layla? She shrugged. I'm not leaving here until I've taught them everything I know, Sid insisted. Whether they like it or not. Whether people think it's good for them or not. Gotta initiate themselves one way or another. Don't go there, Sid. She could feel all the kids' eyes on her. She didn't want to go right and wrong with Sid again, but she knew a hell of a lot more about cutters than he did. Why not? It's true. Those yogis lie on nails or wear hair shirts. People think they're holy. Kids cut themselves. Everyone thinks it's screwed up. The Buddha sighed. They're both right. It's complicated. It's a long, winding road, and most kids don't have any maps, Layla said, let alone someone to guide them. Junior suddenly stood up, took a rock, threw it at the pile he'd been building, and stormed back up to the house. Sid slowly got to his feet, smiling weakly at Layla and Marcus. He's not too fond of the idea of my dying. Let's go in and have some coffee. I'm getting cold. Thanks, as always, for listening to The Man Who Woke Up the Buddha. The next episode is probably going to be the last one in Season 2. As with all things, Sid, we'll know when we get there.